Welcome, everyone. This meeting of the State Board of Elections will be called to order. Madam Secretary, will you please call the roll?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chairwoman Johnson.
Present.
Vice Chairman DeSimone.
Present.
Member Betancourt.
Here.
Member Connors.
Present.
Member Jack Foley. Member Medeiros. Member Scholes.
Present.
Executive Director Miguel Nunez.
Present.
Legal Counsel Ray Parker.
Present.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Number one on the agenda, the board may discuss and vote to approve the minutes of the meeting of June 4th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Number two, agenda item number two, the board may discuss and vote to accept the request for termination of recognition for the No Labels Rhode Island Party. And
I can
Counsel?
speak to that,
Yeah.
Madam Chair. From what Mr. Nunez said, we do not think that they will be here today. Okay. The request to dissolve the party follows the March 2024 order of this board actually recognizing the No Labels RI Party as a political party under Title 17 of your general laws. And that followed the local canvassing authorities' review and certification of the requisite number of signatures that exceeded the 5% for the number of voters that cast ballots for the president or governor in the last election. Then a short while ago in May, I believe the first week of May, the chair of the party, Mr. Sass, indicated that the party sought to dissolve. And he appeared before us. At the time that he appeared before the board, he did not have any documentation to manifest the corporate decision by this party to dissolve. And this has been reconvened for that purpose. A short while ago, I think on Monday evening, we received two documents from the National Party, and those have been attached to your papers. This, one of them is identified as a unanimous written consent of the State Executive Committee of the No Labels Rhode Island. And it purports to include the signatures of each of the State Executive Committee members that have been signed on June 10 and reference a meeting of some sort that occurred shortly before that. That was referenced in a cover letter that was received from the staff of the national office, I believe Mr. Connors. And he's the national director of ballots, I believe, something to that effect. So the first question remains the same question that we had when you first met on this a short while ago. Under what circumstances can a party dissolve? The easiest answer is the one that's afforded by Title 17, Chapter 1, Section 9, which speaks to the failure to satisfy the 5% rule at the next election, at which time this party would, by its very terms, expire. The remaining, the larger question, though, is can this party dissolve in some other way? And in my opinion, it can. As I briefly mentioned, and I've tried to set forth in some case law, and there's very little on this. This isn't something that I've seen happen before, like this especially, but there is a First Amendment right of association. And as some courts have said, the corollary of that is equally true, and that is there is a right not to associate. And if there comes a moment where this political entity no longer seeks to associate as a political entity, no government agency should bind it when it so chooses to dissolve. However, here we do not have any authenticated documents that manifest the actions taken that um, by that party. We have a letter sent electronically by someone at the national level with these with this document attached. It purports to be the state executive committee. I'm not here to doubt that or question it, but by the same token, we should be looking for a record. We should have a record, much like a court would if this was before it, because there may be people who are thinking of running for office as a no labels member. We just don't know. But this is not a self-authenticating document. It hasn't been attested to under oath. There is no one here to document it, nor at this point, I'm not even sure, maybe others are, but I'm not even sure that we know how and when the executive committee was formed and whether those are the only members of the executive committee and since when they have been the only members of the executive committee. So I'm left with question marks on this that don't lead me to want to recommend that you take action to dissolve a party when they haven't taken the proper measures to document their actions themselves. The bylaws don't even have a provision for dissolution. That may not be unusual, but that is something at the very least I'd be looking for some kind of procedure that I can check off the box and say, this satisfies what the party wants, because there may be members who still want to associate. We just don't know. There's no record, and Mr. Sass did not have a record to present to us, although he did indicate what his intentions were, but that is insufficient evidence to take this type of action, in my opinion. So bottom line is, I do not recommend that based on this record or lack of a record, that the motion to dissolve the party be granted. It should be denied or continued. If it is denied, a court of law would look at this and in all likelihood deny it without prejudice. We have not had a full hearing on this. There's been no presentation of evidence. And much like a court would, I would recommend that you deny it without prejudice for the party to refile if it comes forward with the evidence. Had you done so with prejudice, then the matter would be fully adjudicated and the next level from here will be the Supreme Court. So I wouldn't recommend that. The other option is to just continue it, but that may or may not be prudent, given that, you know, the wheels of the government need to proceed with recognizing this party, and you've just started that process.
Mm-hmm.
So it would make more sense not to simply continue this for a week or a month or 2 months. There's too much at stake, and there may be no one who's interested in running for one of these offices. We just don't know, but we shouldn't prejudice them by not even allowing this to proceed, given that they've satisfied the statute.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my recommendation, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ray. Commissioner Betancourt, I think you're at.
Thank you. Yes, I just had a clarifying question because you mentioned that their current bylaws don't have a dissolution clause. So I'm asking this to clarify, because when you're a nonprofit, that's actually a requirement in your bylaws to have a dissolution clause. And so is it not the same when it comes to something like this? Like when I submit my bylaws to the Secretary of State's office as a nonprofit, that is a mandated clause to be part of it. Is that not the same?
It's not there is nothing unfortunately, there's nothing in Title 17, one way or the other.
Interesting. Okay.
The only thing we have under Title 17 is just the formula for getting recognition. That we don't have a statutory dissolution clause, although we do have that one provision that says you are no longer recognized if you fall below that 5% rule. That's all that we have.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I have a question. I'd like to address it to Secretary of State. Kathy? Hi. The question is this. Every political party recognized by the state of Rhode Island, the Secretary of State has to do certain things, like print registration forms and ballots and so forth. So what effect does this action of No Labels Party have upon the work at the Secretary's office with respect to the duties of the Secretary of State in the election process?
So as far as continuing with the No Labels Party, well, right now we've put in the logic behind the central voter registration system so that if a person registers to vote in the No Labels Party, they will become affiliated with that party. But a decision has to be made today so that we can move forward with that logic. And then as far as the voter registration forms, that would be from the Board of Elections. They would create the voter registration forms, which I believe that process has already been done. And then we would just have to put that logic into our big center, the voter registration center online.
Okay, so if the board takes no action, the board takes no action with respect to this, how does that impact the Secretary of State's position?
Well, we need to, for ballot creation,
Yeah.
if there's a primary, we need to know, because like Ray mentioned, these wheels are in motion as far as the elections are concerned. So we need to be ready for declaration period, which is a week and a half away. We have to have these forms ready. If anyone declares, they need to be able to declare as a no labels. So a decision has to be made.
So we're in a little quandary here. Because is it a party or not a party? But as our legal counsel said, we have no confirmation and no attestation to the official actions of that party. So that's the big, the big quandary.
Thank you,
They've taken
Commissioner
all the
Schultz.
necessary steps to create the party.
Any other questions for Kathy or Ray? Commissioner Connors?
So I just want to be clear, as of now, this party is a recognized party in the state of Rhode Island.
That's
We-
right. That's right.
Do we know if anyone has registered to this party yet? I know you're still in the process of working that out, but.
As far as I know, we haven't received any voter registrations with the No Labels Party.
Okay.
We would
And,
have gotten notification from Rhode.
and as far as we know, the DMV has not started their registration process for the No Labels Party, right?
They have not. They are ready to provide paper forms once we provide them to them for in-person transactions. But online transactions, including renewing your driver's license, renewing your car registration, would have to be some technical changes made to that system in order. And that would, and as I said at the last meeting, it's expected that wouldn't be implemented until after the November election, just due to the technical changes that would be required to get that accomplished.
As it stands today, if this board takes no action, all those steps are going to continue though, right? I mean, people are going to be able to register.
I mean, if we can't put the No Labels Party until the board takes action.
Right.
And so we need to know, we have an election, voters are going to, candidates are going to start filing their declarations so in a week and a half.
Right.
Yeah, so on that point, the only thing that exists is your March 2024 order. You have recognized this party. It does fully exist. It can proceed. In the absence of any further action by the board, the No Labels RI party is a political party until they no longer satisfy the statute at this point.
Commissioner DeSimone, do you have something?
I do. Just one question, right? We don't even know whether this letter that we received we don't even know if the person that sent this letter in is authorized to do anything for the No Labels Party. Am I correct? We don't have anything else on file from this Nicholas Connor as the National Director of Ballot Access.
True, although all Mr. Connors has done is report that which the local affiliate has done. He hasn't referenced any actions taken at the, so that it's a matter of him just conveying it, and that's okay. It's just that conveying it without any kind of authentication, and that might not even be enough without someone here. It's just, I wouldn't take action based on that record.
I agree.
Before we continue, I think you already did this, Madam Secretary, but just wanted the records to show Commissioner Jack Foney has joined us at 2:15. Thank you. Anyone else?
I have a motion.
You have a
I
motion?
have a motion if you want it. I'm going to move to
I
deny
do.
without prejudice the motion to withdraw at this point.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion and second to deny the termination of recognition for the party. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in, oh, yes, Commissioner Giacone. We'll allow it. Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? And one abstention. The ayes have it.
I just have one question. Effective when? What's the effective date of this?
Ray, should
Today?
it be today?
I'm sorry.
What's the effective date of the
Well,
termination without, the denial without prejudice?
The order is today on the motion, but the effective date for the recognition of the party was back in March.
When we authorize the signatures.
That's correct.
Great.
All right, thank you. And before we continue, I have a question, Ray, I guess it's for you. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 more items on the agenda. And our last item, I know we have family members here of the late Senator Goodwin who have been patient, but I'm sure this is an emotional day for them. I'm wondering if we can have a motion, if that is okay with you, to move that up in the agenda so that we can hear that. Is that okay with you all? Okay.
I'll move to handle that matter next and take it out of order.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, so now agenda number 3, from number 7, the board may discuss and vote on the use of funds remaining in the campaign account of the late Senator Mary Ellen Goodwin pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 17-25-7.2E. And Rick, I think you're going to start us off. That thing is off.
Good afternoon. Sadly, long-serving and well-revered State Senator Mary Ellen Goodwin passed on April 15, 2023. As an incumbent senator, she maintained a campaign finance account with the Board of Elections. Since her passing, her treasurer has filed the late senator's campaign finance reports. As of March 31st, 2024, the last filed report, there was a remaining balance of $33,102.46 remaining in the campaign finance account. In the absence of any written notification from the late senator of how the remaining funds were to be dispersed, the board will hear testimony regarding her donative intent for use of those funds. And I believe family is here to offer testimony.
Would all of you or one of you like to join us and welcome?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Charles Fogarty. I was the longtime partner of Mary Ellen Goodwin. With me today are her sister, Sheila Conley, and her sister, Maureen LaRock. Sheila is the executor of Mary Ellen's estate.
We should probably, since we're going to be speaking of donative intent, we should probably swear in one or more of you. whoever will be presenting information in that regard. Will all three of you be doing that? Okay.
Sure. Okay. Could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear to tell the whole truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you again, members of the board. After the last election, Mary Ellen had discussions with me because she knew that was going to be her last election. Unfortunately, the treatments were not going as she had hoped, and while we didn't know the exact time frame, and she made clear to me on several occasions that she told me about 30,000 in her account at that time, and that she wanted it to stay in the district. She was very concerned about her district because it was a very poor district, and that her plans were for it to go to St. Patrick's Academy in her district, literally right across the street from where she lived, and a group that she was instrumental in helping to organize a number of years ago. And she mentioned that to me several times during the fall and as late as January of 2023, right before the illness really took a toll, and so forth. That was her intent, that she wanted that to happen, upon her death. And that's what I can attest.
Thank you so much. And Sheila, would you like to add anything? Yes.
To my recollection, all she ever wanted was to set up a scholarship fund for the children to go to St. Patrick's Academy. But all she ever wanted.
It does
I do
not
know that.
surprise me.
Right, exactly.
And thank you, Sheila. Maureen,
Yeah,
did
I
you?
could just add, actually, I went through my notes my FMLA leave, notes, and I know that Charlie had his conversations in January when things started to become south for her. On April 10th, she and I and the treasurer, we kind of, my sister planned her own funeral and made her own arrangement, and she nailed it. And she trusted us to do the best, and we trusted Sheila. On April 10th, we picked her bearers, we picked her songs and her music. It was very important to her that the people that weren't practicing Catholics or Catholics or Christians could follow along with the, we did all of that. We finalized and we had a conversation about her campaign program. I thought she said in my dad's name. We might have heard like the Goodwin name. I'm not sure, but doesn't, it doesn't matter. But she actually said, I wish that I could write the check right now. And we said, oh, you can't yet because you have to school out April. She had to make it through that quarter, right? So that was the last conversation that we had, that she wanted the scholarship for St. Patrick's Academy, which she did. She was huge in helping to start up. She was a huge champion of the school. My oldest is an alumna, and that's it.
Thank you, Maureen. Thank you all. And before we move to just see what our options are and how we proceed, just want to say again, my deepest condolences. I had the honor of attending her funeral. I'm not surprised that she planned it. It was extraordinary. There was a lot of laughter through the tears, which I think is how she would have wanted it. And I had the great fortune of having many interactions with her, including, as I shared with Sheila and Charlie, she is the reason my 6-year-old did not throw himself on the Senate floor to protest being there for my advice and consent, because she called him up there and said, you can be a part of this too. And so just really, really special woman. And I can't imagine, the difficulty of this year. And, we want to help you to honor her wishes and her legacy, and really appreciate you being here. And so, Ray,
I think you're
How
set.
do
I think
we-
you can
yeah.
take a vote. I mean, there's nobody here to challenge what's been presented. It's the best evidence that we can present, actual utterances from Mary Ellen directly to the people who are here before us. So that's perfectly fine. Has the scholarship already been set up? Do you actually have entity where where the money will be transferred to?
It will go to the academy. She had a very beautiful relationship with our pastor.
I see.
Now, it's shown before.
Yeah.
We really hope that we would be able to do that with Lucky Valley, but the new pastor will accept it out of grace.
The thing is that we always let them allocate the money.
Yeah.
They have it in down.
Yeah, clearly she trusts them.
Yeah,
She
very
trusted
much
them. I want to offer any other board members. I see some of you pushing your microphones to say anything.
Just very briefly, I also had the pleasure of knowing Senator Goodwin. I know she was a wonderful person, a great senator, and a champion for her district. So I'm happy to support that. You want to donate the campaign funds to the St. Patrick's Academy.
Thanks.
You know, when I was a state senator many years ago, I served with Mary Ellen Goodwin, and she was a fantastic person, always with a smile, always happy, always asking about your family, how things are, and nothing seemed to disturb her. She was always a very positive person, and she made my service in the Senate, that more enjoyable, because she always was able to encourage people to bring out the best in them. So she made a difference. So she served there a number of years, and I think Rhode Island was better for it by having her serve in the state Senate. I certainly join with members of the board to allow her memory to continue with the scholarship fund. And I know under the statute, when a term of service comes to an end and you have a campaign account, you can donate it to charity. And I think this would be a perfect fitting memorial to her and ongoing, so that future generations will know, the impact that she had on the state of Rhode Island and the people in her district. So thank you for bringing this to our attention, and so that we can carry out her wishes. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Schulz.
Madam Chair, I had the good fortune to work with Mary Ellen, and I won't call her Senator Goodwin because she said my name's Mary Ellen. So, with the city of Providence, she was a wonderful, wonderful representative of the city. She did so much for the Smith Hill area. Can't say enough good things about her, and I'm happy to join my fellow commissioners in giving you all the support you need. I have one condition, though.
Oh,
The
God.
scholarship has to have her name on it.
Yeah.
That's a good condition. I never know what's going to come out of your mouth.
She probably wouldn't have wanted her name on it, but
Well, she fought long and hard, and, just watching from the beauty of social media that we can see one another, what's going on. I know she enjoyed every last second she could with all of you and her beloved nieces and nephews who she fiercely, fiercely loved.
She made me laugh a few weeks ago. She really didn't
Oh,
want that.
I'm sure. And I can only just imagine she was also one of the funniest human beings I have ever met in my life. So, yep. Well, thank you for being here. I wish under better circumstances, but I'll turn to one of my board members now if you wish to make a motion.
I think it should be you, Dave.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. My pleasure.
You should just leave.
Yes. Yes, you're the red though. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's with great pleasure and honor and humility that I move that whatever funds are available in the Mary Ellen Goodwin Campaign Fund be transferred to the St. Patrick's Academy to establish a scholarship in the name of Mary Ellen Goodwin, so that her memory will live on.
Thank you, Commissioner Schulz. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second as well.
Moved
Why don't we
and
all second?
seconded by both. Yes, I think
Why don't we
we'll
all
all second that. And I don't have to ask this, but I will. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. There should be no opposed. The ayes have it, and we look forward to all that, the good that will do for her beloved St. Patrick's Academy and the students there. So thank you very much for being here.
Madam Chair, if I could
Yes.
just ask a technical question.
Of course.
Do we, because I had talked to Rick a little beforehand, do we need some paperwork for the bank for Sheila as the executor to show that the board did this, so that, and then the
Yeah.
final closing out of the account,
Yeah.
however that proceeds.
The treasurer should be able to withdraw it, right, Ray?
Do we formally have a treasurer at this point? Was that one of the questions, Rick, that we don't formally have a treasurer? Can you remind me, please?
Yeah.
There is an active treasurer with the campaign.
Okay.
I think part of what brought us to this point today was that during the time in which the senator was ill, there was an attempt to add the treasurer to her campaign account with signatory authority. At the time that the senator deceased, she was the only one with signatory authority on the account. They were not able to add the treasurer as a signer on the account. So in the absence of that, the late senator wrote a check to the treasurer in her name for the full amount that was in the account at that time. The check was never cashed. The amount of the check is no longer relevant in that there are some recurring costs that were debited from the campaign account, valid campaign expenses. So that's essentially where the account resides at this point. It's money in the account, which really has no surviving person with signatory authority to and access to the funds. So again, I believe, Ray, in an earlier conversation, we talked about, likely the matter would go through probate and perhaps, go ahead, documentation.
The only concern I would have, and actually, obviously, we'll do whatever you want. If it goes into the probate account, there's going to be an inventory tax on it. And they're going to lose a portion of that money because $30,000 is going to increase the inventory.
Yeah,
There would be an inventory
right, I
tax.
don't know what the bank will need to allow the transfer of the money, but what we could do is an order.
Order it directly.
Well, we order it directly. I mean, if we did this order, at least memorializing what has occurred today, then that might be enough for the bank. Your next step is the bank. You want to get the money transferred from the bank.
Can we order a treasurer? Can we appoint a treasurer?
Well, I was thinking, yes, you can. I thought that might be the next step, but you have a treasurer. That's what Rick was just saying. You actually,
No, you don't have one, do you?
There is an active treasurer. She is not, she.
she just doesn't have access to the bank account, but there is a treasurer.
That's correct.
So could a first step, and hopefully it's the last step that you have to take, be what you just said, Ray, to issue an order showing what happened today that they can bring to the bank?
That would be the first step. It might be sufficient for the bank. It may not. I would think that the probate court would need assurance that this money is not part of the estate. That's what I was thinking when I mentioned the probate, that whoever are the beneficiaries of the estate, the probate judge, before he finalizes the account, wants to make sure that he or she has not missed any of them. So this order would at least show that the 30,000 plus is not part of the estate. That would be more of what I'd be thinking the probate court would actually do. Once that occurs, then hopefully the bank would release those funds with or through the treasurer. I've never had this happen before. I don't know what else to say other than that.
I'd like to comment on that. I think these funds are outside probate.
Yes, they
because the funds are not really the property of the decedent.
Right.
So I think we can provide an order ordering the current treasurer to transfer the funds. So I don't think the probate court has any jurisdiction over campaign funds. The way the statute reads, the campaign funds are independent of the candidate. Is that, would you agree with that?
Well, you can try that. I mean, really what you need to do is you need to order the bank to release the funds. I have a feeling that's the holdup, isn't it?
That's correct, because.
I mean, the bank is going to be looking for some evidence that the money should be released to whomever. This order might be enough, but we can't order the bank to do that. We can just recognize by the order that her intent was the release of the funds to the treasurer for the purpose of a check. The money's going to the St. Patrick's Academy. That we can do.
Okay. And we're the only ones who have authority over that campaign account, am I correct?
Yes, but we have no authority over the bank. That's the problem. I mean, the
Well, I
Superior
mean-
Court has authority over a bank. We don't have the power to compel a bank to distribute monies.
Do we have the authority to appoint the treasurer as signatory? I know that you don't have the signatory rights, but if we're able to do that.
We can put that in the order. If I have the name of the treasurer, I can actually add that to the order. If you do an amended motion, we can add that in. That likewise might be enough for the bank.
Right, can I ask you a question? It was the request of the current treasurer that she be removed and instead have the family, as they've demonstrated here today, to be the treasurer.
Oh, okay.
Would the board have the authority to?
The board can appoint a treasurer, yes. So if we have a person who no longer wishes to serve in that capacity, the board could appoint somebody right now.
Okay, let's do that.
Do you have a preference as to who it should be?
Okay,
Okay.
that makes sense.
Okay, I have a motion. Okay. I move that, is it Sheila? Sheila Connolly? Okay. I move that Sheila Connolly be appointed treasurer of the campaign account of the late Mary Ellen Goodwin, and she be authorized as treasurer to transfer the funds from the campaign account to the St. Patrick's Academy for the purposes of establishing the scholarship fund in the name of Mary Ellen Goodwin.
Second.
That's good, Ray. Ray. I just want
That's-
to make sure I'm not
that's-
questioning
that
your
is-
motion. I
that
just
is-
don't want
That's
to
very
make
good.
any more work for you. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it.
And Ray, you can let the bank know through correspondence or whatever that if they don't choose to effectuate it, the board may issue subpoenas, or at least I'm going to move the board to issue a subpoena to have someone from the bank here to tell us why they're not releasing the funds.
You have that authority. Yep. Okay.
I appreciate that. Thank you all very much. So now Ray, you will produce said order.
For your
and-
signature.
And send it and we'll sign it and
Yep.
then we'll get it to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you all very much. Thank
luck.
you. Take good
Nice
care.
to see you, Governor.
I agree. I agree. Agenda item number now 4, I guess. The board may discuss and vote to approve the calendar for the Gloucester special referendum to be held on Tuesday, August 6th, 2024. Executive Director.
Honorable members of the board, the General Assembly has approved a bond referendum question to be voted upon in a Title 17 special referendum to be held on August 6th in the town of Gloucester. The staff worked with the local board on the draft calendar that we presented to you today. The ballot question to be presented to voters on August 6th is for issuing $10,700,000 in bonds and notes for the to finance the renovation and/or expansion of the Gloucester Police Station. House Bill 8239, authorizing this special referendum, passed the General Assembly on May 30th, and its companion bill, Senate Bill 3030, passed the General Assembly on June 6th. The Gloucester Board of Canvassers must certify this question to the Secretary of State by June 17th, and part of their meeting, in a meeting they held today, they did certify that question to the Secretary of State, but they still need to submit that formally by June 17th. Early voting for this special referendum would commence on July 17th. If the board does not have any questions regarding this draft calendar before you today, the staff requests that the calendar be approved for the special referendum election to be held in the town of Gloucester on August 6, 2024.
Thank you, Director. Does anyone have any questions on the calendar? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Move to approve the calendar for the special referendum. Do we have a second?
Second.
Tongue is getting tied. Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Agenda item number 5, the board may discuss and vote to approve the polling locations for the Gloucester special referendum to be held on Tuesday, August 6, 2024.
Members of the board, this morning at 10 a.m., the Gloucester Board of Canvassers met to discuss and select the polling locations for their upcoming August 6 special bond referendum for the construction and the renovation of the Gloucester Police Station. The Board of Elections received their request shortly thereafter. The Gloucester Board of Canvassers unanimously agreed to open one polling location in the town, which will be located at the Gloucester Senior Center, located at 12 Putnam Pike, which they are allowed to combine into under Rhode Island General Law 1711 1.1. The town of Gloucester's Board of Canvassers the town of Gloucester, is comprised of 5 precincts and has a total of 8,296 registered voters. The anticipated turnout for this referendum is likely to be under 15%, which this facility can easily handle. As our normal procedure, we will require that the local board post clearly visible signage at any closed location that would normally be used. This will direct voters to the Gloucester Senior Center that day. All voters will also be directed to the Senior Center if they look up their polling place at vote.ri.gov. The only special election in Gloucester that we have for historical reference was a nonpartisan primary, which was held 24 years ago on October 10th, 2000, which was not a special referendum and had a turnout of 4.18%, with a total of 267 voters casting ballots. I'll also note that back then, this was before early voting was available. So we expect a substantial percentage of ballots to be cast in this special referendum to occur during that 20-day early voting period between July 17th and August 5th. And I also want to note that during the recent presidential preference primary in April, 275 voters cast ballots at that senior center, which also served as their only polling place on that day. The Board of Election staff have reviewed their request and agree with this selection and ask that you approve them. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Miguel. Any questions?
So
Move to approve the polling locations for the Gloucester special referendum to be held on Tuesday, August 6, 2024. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Agenda item number 6, the board may vote to meet in executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5, subsection A, subsection 2, to discuss and/or vote on litigation in Providence County Superior Court captioned Rhode Island State Board of Elections versus Lacey A. McGreevy, CA number PC-2023-05502. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Do we need a motion to resume open?
Yes.
Sorry, my brain. Do we have a motion to resume open session and seal the minutes of executive
So moved.
session?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Oh, and that's, sorry, that's me. The board, agenda item number 7, the board may discuss and vote to reduce the accrued fines against Lacey A. McGreevy pursuant to the board's reduction of penalties and suspension of campaign finance account regulation.
And Madam Chair, before we proceed with that agenda item, I would like to just read out one matter from the executive session. In the matter involving Rhode Island State Board of Elections versus Lacey McGreevy, CA number 2023-05502. All board members here were present for the executive session. A motion was made by Mr. Connors to refer to the CCU, the Central Collections Unit for the state. This lawsuit and the judgment in the amount of $4,704 for collection purposes. The motion was seconded by Ms. Betancourt, and all members voted in favor, none opposed.
Thank
That's
you,
it, Madam
Council.
Chair.
Okay. And that's a wrap for today?
And then
Or
we
do
now have. the
Oh, now
motion.
we have, sorry, I'm sorry.
And on that, Madam Chair, we have before the board the possible consideration of the accrued fines for Ms. McGreevy under our regulation for the reduction of penalties and suspension. The record notes that Ms. McGreevy is not here. She was provided notice, has not appeared, and this motion likewise is ready for consideration and vote by the board.
Anyone want to start us off?
I'll move to deny the request for reduction of fines.
Second.
Did you have some?
I just have a clarifying
Sure.
question. The amount of fines and fees associated with this, since we referred the initial judgment to CCU, are we actually agreeing to reduce the fines and fees portion?
No, we actually,
Good point.
if this motion passes, you would not be.
So those fines and fees associated with it would also go to the central collection.
The fines and fees that are part of this motion coincide with the amount that was entered for the judgment.
That's a good clarifying question, though. Moved and seconded to deny, to reduce the accrued fines. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and we will adjourn at 3:21 PM.